Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
And what's it gonna do?
It doesn't matter how you're doing. Woo! Wheeling, dealing, limousine right, jet flying.
Can you dig it, sucker?
Would you please shut the hell up?
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the human rubble.
What up, what up? Welcome to episode 81 of Keep the Kayfabe. I'm Mike, sitting here with my boys, ready to talk some wrestling. We're all coming down from a pretty big weekend, packed full of great shows. We had Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor on Friday, and then 2 nights of WrestleMania. We're not going to run down all the matches, but we're going to hit all the highlights. But before we get into the meat of it, let's get to know the fellas we're talking to tonight over in Glendale. Somebody who keeps it regal, my guy Steve Grobschmidt. What up, Grobby?
I am not Steve. I'm Steve's younger brother.
That's great.
Name's Ezekiel.
Oh my God. Yeah, maybe we should touch on that a little later too, because Raw after WrestleMania is usually pretty fun, and this one didn't let down with some of the surprises, but we'll see if we get to that a little later. But good to see you nonetheless, Steve. Very good, sir. Over in Bayview, my guy who keeps it freshly squeezed, Mr. Matt Michelson. How are you, Matt?
So, what do you guys want to talk about? That's my best Cody Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's very like vanilla.
You'd look more like Cody if you had like a halo behind your head.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, he had quite the speech on Monday Night Raw too. Maybe we can touch on that later if we get to it. So yeah, let's not forget our guy down in Bayview also. Oh my God, it's Charlie Michael.
After 10 years of WWE in a somewhat dramatic fashion, it just doesn't feel right. So I stepped out of my contract. And after 10 years of that schedule, I had all this time. Cody Rhodes.
That's what he said?
Yep. That's what he said before he left. After he left, yep.
God.
He's a clown. We'll talk about it, but yeah, he's a clown, dude. I didn't think he had an ego, but
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize until I see this now. He had an ego, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, man. He played us all.
Yep.
And it was funny too. I really was hoping, like last week we talked, that he would come out as Stardust. I thought he for sure was going to, because the logo of WrestleMania with Dallas Cowboys big star, it would have been perfect, but alas.
Yep. We'll see if he keeps that smile on his face, because Reigns ain't dropping that title anytime soon, dude. Because I watched end of Raw, and that crowd's into him still.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
the novelty's gonna wear off. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not dropping it. They're not dropping Reigns anytime soon.
Right.
Cody's going to be doing 50-50 booking with Ezekiel in 4 months.
Oh, yeah. We're going to see. Oh, he's going to be doing it quicker than that, because Rollins is going to want to get his win back. So that's coming.
I hope I don't confuse his match with Ezekiel against any matches he has with Elias. They just look so much alike.
It's a coincidence. It's like when I don't know if you guys remember, but in NXT when Elias lost a loser leaves the NXT match, and then the following week El Vagabundo showed up, who looked very much like Elias but with a mask. And
that's awesome.
But it was a different guy.
Should have did with this.
Honestly, since we're talking about it, I think if this was any other company than WWE, I would be excited, because Elias is going to make this work. Just like
it could be great comedy, dude.
Damian Sandow made everything work, but then the crowd got behind him, and then the WWE never believed in him. I think the same thing's going to happen here. He's going to make this stupid thing work, and it's going to be hilarious, and they're not going to buy into it.
Yeah, I think you're on the right road. I think they'll buy into it, because he'll be able to sell it, because he's pretty funny. So I was like, this is kind of entertaining. But what's going to happen? It's going to be mid-card bullshit that he never rises above. And so he's screwed. He'll get it over, but then those guys will kill it at some point, kill his TV time or something. But he'll never rise from this gimmick. But I have a feeling he can get it over, because he's got comedy chops, it looks like.
My favorite thing in wrestling is when somebody gets suspended and like comes back with a mask or something, and it's obvious it's the same person.
Totally.
It's Dusty did it. I'm convinced. I'm hoping against Hope Wardlow does it. I love it. I love it when they just, and then the announcers are like, "Who is this?"
Junkyard Log is Stagger Lee, which was great, which is like one of the original ones like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty big surprise when Elias came out last night as Ezekiel. He looks weird, really weird.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
It's just funny looking. It's like he kind of looks like a Sunday dad that could be raking leaves, but he's super jacked and in a Speedo.
If you want to look, you want to see something that'll you'll never get image out of your head. Take a look at him and LA Knight. They look exactly the same.
Whoa,
the
eyes. I know what you're saying.
Google both of them and look it up, and you'll be like, "Holy shit!"
That's so funny. I could totally see that. Yeah, without even looking, I could totally see that. I was actually gonna say, I saw the picture of Elias, or excuse me, Ezekiel, without the facial hair, and the first thing I thought was, I don't know if you guys remember how Judd Nelson looked in The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
pretty much the exact same face.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I would love to see LA Knight come up to the main roster and pretend to be Elias, but then Ezekiel has to break character because he's actually Elias but doesn't want to give it away, and it just turns into this weird, like, who's on third type joke.
Oh, man. If only we were writing for the WWE.
I was going to say, in better hands, this would totally work.
Yeah, and it's not hard, but yeah, just remember whose hands it's in.
Well, speaking of somebody that was on the main roster of WWE and on the roster of NXT, Samoa Joe probably was the biggest surprise this weekend coming back. He debuted in Supercard of Honor, the Ring of Honor show that took place on Friday, and we all didn't get a chance to see it, but Charlie tuned in and got to see it, and he said it was a pretty hot show. Was Samoa Joe the biggest? Was that the surprise of the night? Did he come on at the end, or what happened?
Yeah, that was the main surprise. They'd been teasing Jay Lethal's turn. He came out at the end of the match when Gresham won and challenged him. I should be the first to get it and blah blah blah. Great heel turn. You guys are gonna love Jay Lethal as a heel. He's fucking hilarious and just a great heel, dude. Hopefully he gets to do his thing. So he came out, they jumped him, Sonya Dutt came out, then all of a sudden this crazy music hits, and then all of a sudden fucking Samoa Joe comes out. I was like, holy shit, because nobody, and it was a great surprise because nobody had, any of the wrestling rumor pages had said anything about it, and just to see him there's like, oh shit, it's on now, dude,
Yeah,
So
how'd they sneak him in there? He's kind of a big guy.
It's if you saw the room that they were in, it's easy to.
I'm just kidding.
And plus, all the wrestlers are in town there anyway because the whole WrestleMania. There's so many cards, autograph signings, WrestleCon. There's just so much going on that weekend that you could be there and not know until you're backstage of the day of the show.
Well,
awesome.
And not only did he show up, but they specified he's all elite. So he's actually he's signed for AEW and he's gonna be on Dynamite this week.
Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome.
And I also suggest if you can look on YouTube or find it somewhere, you need to see that Briscoe's FTR match. It was outstanding, dude. It was outstanding. It was amazing. And the thing about it made it so amazing too is that these guys have never touched before in a wrestling federation, and any kind of indies, wrestling federation ever. They never worked together. That was like the first time they probably met backstage, and it was an outstanding match. For two teams that have never met before, because usually a lot of these guys have worked together. Like the Bucks, when the Bucks ever wrestle them, you'll for a good match. Just like when the Bucks wrestled Frankie and Scorpio Sky and those guys, they work together all the time. But these guys worked a hard, classic, modern style. Oh, yeah, it had mixes of everything. It was just great, dude. Double juice from both teams, near falls. It was just exciting, dude. It was good. You know,
So
everybody
cool.
says a lot of people still say it's the match of the weekend.
Yeah, that's the match I definitely want to go back and see. So,
Yeah.
I mean, how do you watch Ring of Honor though? Is that match now available on YouTube, or do you have to go through some sort of streaming service?
You probably either have to
Right.
the way to do it is you have to either go through Fight,
Hmm.
catch it on YouTube, or catch it on one of those sites that might have a clip of it. Or you can also sign up for Honor Club for a month and then watch it off of there. But I'm sure there's got to be hacker sites out there that have it. I can't remember that Daily Motion. I bet if you went on Daily Motion, you could probably find that match. I'll do that right now, actually, see if it's out there.
Yeah, for our listeners out there, most podcasts would probably suggest the streaming service to go ahead and check it out. But here on Keep the Kayfabe, we keep it real.
Yeah, and you just gotta look out for the unexpected pop-ups of like butt sex and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't watch it at work.
Right. Or if the in-laws are at home.
Right, exactly.
which I tried to watch something in Pittsburgh one time when I was out of time. They didn't see anything. I didn't cast it to the TV, but it was on my laptop, and thank God I was sitting on the other side of the room, and we weren't like, hey, maybe we should all try to watch this pay-per-view together. I think that was when I was getting married, too. It was back in 2019. It was funny. But good shit. Yeah, we're marks for marks here at Keep the Kayfabe.
That's right.
We'll give you all the ways to watch great wrestling matches. And so, yeah, I heard that match was unbelievable. Mercedes Martinez, did she win?
She did.
Yep. She
great.
won.
I mean, there's some definite AEW like tie-ins because she won.
Oh yeah,
Wheeler won a title. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard that Wheeler Yuta won the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. So what is the story with that title? Like, is it just focused more on like the Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson style of wrestling?
Yeah, it's got I can't remember all the rules, but it's got a lot of classic rules. You can't roll out of the ring. You can only do like 3 rope breaks where you can grab the rope or put your foot on the rope. It's just a classic, more of a catch style of wrestling. There's certain rules. If you Google the rules, there's like 10 rules, but the main one that really counts is the rope break. Because at some point you can't do any more rope breaks, to get out of a hold.
That's really interesting.
Sweet.
I'd love to check that out.
Oh, it's cool. That's cool.
So that belt was already in Ring of Honor that they're carrying over?
That's
still a Ring of Honor title, yeah.
Yeah. It went away for a while, and then they brought it back.
Oh, okay.
Either during the pandemic or right after the pandemic, before the pandemic, right around then, they brought it back a while ago, about 2 or 3 years ago, yeah.
Cool.
Just to bring more titles in.
Yeah, now that Ring of Honor is attached in AEW, I'm looking forward to learning more history about Ring of Honor because it's obviously rich and full of, stars that came up through it and cultivated their careers first there. So, yeah, I'm excited. Charlie, I know you're one of the guys that it like got you back into wrestling, right?
Basically? Oh yeah, pretty much, dude. Yeah, pretty much got me back into it. So I was an ECW guy, and WWE was kind of crap. So I started watching that and getting entertained by it. And I was like, this stuff's pretty good, And it was a glory time too, because you had the Young Bucks were still young, Kevin Steen was still young, Generico had already left, but you had everybody was there. It was entertaining. Bullet Club was there. AJ Styles wrestled there. Samoa was there at the time. You just had all the indie darlings,
Great.
Yeah, obviously Adam Cole, Jay Lethal, Jay White, Red Dragon, everybody.
And on and on and on, yeah.
Yeah. The lineup was insane. It was great, dude. It was great.
It's kind of revitalized, like we've all been sitting here for months, like, oh, Brian Cage, where'd he go? And all that kind of stuff. And it's like all these pieces are coming to place because it's like Brian Cage, they re-signed him. That leaked out a couple weeks ago, but it's like he hasn't been on TV since October or something. And then all of a sudden he comes back with freaking Tully Blanchard, which is like perfect. And then, it's just, I think that they're going to have so many options. Like Jay Lethal, you could just it just felt like AEW signed him to kind of keep him busy, and now, and he kind of, like Charlie said, like as a heel and like some of the stuff he did in Impact, he's gold, but he was just this sort of like happy-go-lucky veteran in AEW up until this like heel turn. So it's like having these two companies to play with, I think, is going to be outstanding and kind of like just expand. AEW doesn't have enough time for everybody, and now they're going to be able to fill 2 rosters.
Yeah, and Jay's like such a cocky, shit talking heel, dude. It's so good, dude. It's so good. Because that's why I first saw his heel work there, because I know he had done stuff in TNA and then he went back to Ring of Honor. I never really watched TNA much, but it's
he
so
was good. He did that was it Black Machismo?
Macho Man gimmick,
which was funny, but then it kind of got old. But But I mean, he's so good at a Macho Man that even like when Randy Savage was still alive, he kind of gave him his blessing. It was so good.
Oh yeah, and like I guess last thing on Supercard too, they did 20,000 buys on that pay-per-view this weekend.
Wow,
nice,
which is insane. I don't know the number, but I heard something like they only do like 1,000, or I could be wrong. 1,000, lately, when the drop off had happened, so it got eyes on the product.
That's awesome. Yeah, it sounds like it was a great first show for Ring of Honor. I can't wait till they get it going. Hopefully they get a TV deal where we can get more of these AEW budding stars, a place to really build their confidence, those who are kind of green over there. They gave them a place to, put on some really awesome matches, and now we'll have 2 great places to watch great wrestling. So, yeah, I'm pumped. Awesome. Well, what used to be great was WrestleMania, and you know what? We talked about last week, we were all kind of like, whatever. We covered the matches. We thought what was going to happen. We all kind of went into this weekend with not a lot of expectations because we're just not, WWE marks like we used to be. But, the first night, I gotta say, wasn't really that bad. There was some pretty good matches slated. We saw the women's matches go on. Not a lot of big surprises there. We thought maybe Becky would win when we predicted last week. Actually, Bianca won, which was great.
Yeah, I was surprised.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and good for her that she got her comeuppance. And then we saw Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair wrestle. I can't even remember how that one ended. But
it was a great match, but I think it ended with Charlotte basically won off of a quick distraction. It was a boot to the face.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And she got the 3 count. Right. And the whole crowd seemed like, oh, that's it. Which I felt the same way. Like, the match was fantastic all the way up to that point. And as usual in true WWE fashion, they just can't help themselves. The finish is just what always ruins it.
I think that's why I forgot. I did end up watching that, and So there was that. Those were pretty much the 2 big matches. But we did have one that we were really excited about and main evented night 1 on Saturday, and that was Kevin Owens was going to talk to Stone Cold Steve Austin on his KO show. We thought there might just be some stunners and some beer drinking, but we got a little bit more than that, which was pretty great. I thought, for Kevin Owens, somebody who loves wrestling as much as him, he's a WWE guy through and through. He obviously didn't leave the company. He resigned, even though, I don't know, he could totally thrive anywhere he wanted to. But I still think it's kind of a cool thing that he did resign and he actually got to wrestle one of his childhood idols, the last match that he would ever wrestle, period, in his home state of Texas. That's got to be pretty cool for him to actually have a match and not just kind of a gimmicky thing. So I looked at it from that perspective. It's not like Stone Cold is a spring chicken, but he did hold his own, I gotta say. Wouldn't you say, Matt?
Yeah, I was really fired up about this match. And I think we talked about this last week. We were really unsure what was going to happen with Kevin Owens and Steve Austin. Like, I think at this point last week, we knew something was going to go down. So the Kevin Owens show kicks off as the main event, and they start talking. And when Owens, tells Austin he lied and he wanted to get him on there to have a match, I think in that moment deep down, I thought, it's happening. But of course, there's always a chance that things get swerved at the last second. But when the bell rang and they were standing in the ring, I was so fired up. And so was the crowd. I mean, it was seriously probably the hottest crowd, like in that moment, especially. And these guys did not like mess around. I mean, Charlie brought up a good point. I think especially in the beginning of the match, Austin kind of looked like he was wearing cement shoes. Like his kicks were just really slow and sluggish. But I think as the match got going, either his adrenaline got going or his blood flow or both, because by the end of the match, he was looking like 2003 Stone Cold, which granted, all he would do is, punch people and deliver stunners. And that's a lot of what we saw in this match as well. They fought around the arena. There were suplexes on the concrete floor. It was just great. And they did not limit it to a 2-minute match. I think the match went probably somewhere around 12 minutes, if I had to guess. I don't have the time in front of me, but yeah, what a really crazy surprise to end WrestleMania. I think if Austin's looking to have one more match to go out on, this was a good one. I think at age 57, pretty impressive what he did. I mean, I know we see Sting do this kind of stuff, if not crazier stuff every week, but still pretty awesome to see Austin back after 19 years.
Totally. And it did make me want to drink a beer watching that match too. The amount of beers that they went through of the El Segundo Ranch Broken Skull IPA lager, whatever it is that he's got going on right now. It made me thirsty.
I can give a official Keep the Kayfabe review on his lager, which I did have this weekend, and I actually really like it. I thought the IPA. I'm not a huge IPA guy, but I thought the IPA was just kind of pedestrian. It was like just okay, but the lager is really quite tasty. Like I'd go back for it.
Wow, good to know. And that's
and it's a cool can. It'll make a wonderful candle by Lit MKE.
I agree. That's what he was pumping this weekend was the lager, right?
Yeah. Why would you have Steve Weisers or Budweiser's when you got your own
Steve lagers?
Steve lagers. Yeah.
But yeah. So that was pretty fun. I don't know, Charlie. I know you thought Stone Cold looked a little sluggish. What did you get out of this match?
He would have done better what he did at the end of Sunday's match. At the end of the Sunday's WrestleMania, or not the end of, but what he did with McMahon and Austin Theory. I mean, him lumbering around slowly, doing a falls count anywhere wasn't that good. The only thing that was good about it was when they were in the ring. When Owens hit the ropes, hit himself in the head, and
yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was a nice sequence, but the brawling on the outside, yeah. Not my thing.
Right.
Let me ask this. Because I think we all echoed this, but like I think our big fear was that Stone Cold was gonna come out, hit a stunner on Owens, drink some beers, and Kevin Owens would get nothing out of it. So I guess if we try to at least measure our cynicism a little bit, does Kevin Owens having a 12-minute brawl with a legend and then kind of having an entertaining ending with the chair and all that, does that still do nothing for him, or do you think he did get something out of it?
It's awesome for his career. He can say he had his last match with Stone Cold and blah, blah,
That's
blah.
what I think, yeah.
But then the next night, he does a job to Cody in a dark match. So what did he get out of it? And he got to work with Elias. And that's goofy gimmick, so.
That's a good point, yeah.
He's getting $3 million a year, too, so I can't cry for him,
For sure. I think between the $3 million a year and getting to have a match with Austin, if you look at just those two things, it totally makes sense why he re-signed with WWE. And I probably would have done the same in his position.
Honestly. Oh, yeah.
Totally.
$3 million.
And, another $3 million man, Cody Rhodes, did in fact come out on Saturday. I almost forgot. I thought it might have been Sunday they were going to save that, but Saturday night, Seth Rollins' mystery opponent was revealed. And not only did Cody Rhodes look exactly like Cody Rhodes from AEW, he took pretty much the same wardrobe, maybe even that coat that he wore for Double or Nothing that he first debuted to Ogogo when he wrestled Ogogo, Anthony Ogogo. I wonder if Tony Khan paid for that, or like that was AEW's money, or if that was his own personal stuff. Like, what do you mean? Like, take a coat that you wore from another promotion and then wear it on WrestleMania? Like,
I think those are.
If it wasn't his personal money,
I think those guys buy their own gear, don't they?
I think a lot of, historically that's been true.
They're independent contractors, so they have to buy their gear, dude. So that's his stuff.
All right. Well, that's what I was just alluding to. Is it his property to do that with? If it wasn't, I thought that would be kind of a dick move. But
yeah, I think he created that whole American Nightmare gimmick when he left WWE. That's all his shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure he's got it trademarked or whatever, but that's all his. Which every wrestler should do. If you listen to Jericho and Bubba Ray, you should trademark your shit and have a Mark Henry says to it, dude, you should have a lawyer doing your contract, dude. Because you can get fucked over.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. That's what I was just wondering if like he had it all trademarked and all of his stuff, because we were talking about music one week and if we can use it from another one. So it's just hard to keep track of. So I'm just kind of getting it straightened out with you guys.
Yeah, but like his music makes. He should have changed. He should have changed the lyrics of his music. Because his whole theme is talking about breaking away and doing it on his own and not, blah blah blah. And there he is back in the machine.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of what anyone says, the fact that he's back in WWE says more than any interview or theory could, I think.
Yeah.
Granted, personally, so we talk a lot about Cody on the show, and I think quite a few weeks back, for our longtime listeners, you might actually remember this, we talked quite a bit about when Cody was in AEW and he was booking himself against Andrade and Malachi Black and those guys, and everyone was going 50-50 off each other. I remember, and it may have been Steve who actually made the comment about, I wonder if Cody's actually self-aware and he's doing this intentionally.
Yeah, Steve did say it. Yep.
I did.
And I think now that we've seen him go over to WWE, he's definitely not self-aware.
No, yes, I appreciate that. Because,
bring that back, dude.
At the time, I really believed that he knew what he was doing.
So did I, because Steve, you talked me into it. Yeah.
Fast forward, I think he's drinking his own Kool-Aid.
We worked ourselves into a shoot.
Well, I think he's definitely a WWE guy. After all this, he's definitely a WWE guy. So we'll see where he's at. I mean, my whole thing is we'll see where he's at 6 months from now, and we'll see where he's at next Mania.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll
if
it's successful on his end, on being on TV and stuff. So I have a feeling those fans are going to get tired of that promo every week, him coming out there crying and talking about his dad. This shit gets old.
This is the one time in my life I'm going to be hoping for a what chant, because I think if he gets chants, he's going to lose his shit.
Oh, it's coming, trust me, because he only knows one style, dude. He can't do anything else.
He was even kind of talking with a fake lisp that last night to make him sound a little more dusty-ish.
Yeah, you mentioned that, Mike. That is not a fake lisp. Like
he's always been lispy. Yeah,
that's how he actually talks. I think in AEW he purposefully tried to.
Yeah, he hit it kind of well.
Yeah, he purposefully corrected his speech to try and avoid it. But now that he's back in WWE and Dusty's part of his whole lineage, I think he's going to lean into it a little more than he normally.
Oh yeah, he's
so I heard a podcast that said this, dude. Let's say everything this program's for him. I got to win it for my dad and blah blah blah, and he had to, he never had it. So he let's say he gets the title. Then what's the story?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like, how do you?
I thought that was great when someone said that. I was like, oh shit, you're right. If he gets it, then what?
Yeah.
Well, and my God. Okay, so first of all, they've invested a metric shit ton in Roman Reigns, and we can all debate that. So that, and they're headed towards something. One of the rumors is The Rock. So the title is now unified and down a path. Why on God's green earth would WWE put it on Cody? You're right. What does he bring?
No way. What
is the next feud after he wins? What is
anything? Any of you guys watch that last segment last night?
No.
with Reigns. If you get a chance, I'm sure it's on YouTube. Go find it.
I did see clips of it this afternoon.
They love that dude. They bought into what he's selling. They're hook. The fans are hook. Their fans are hook, line, and sinker to him, dude. They're not pulling that belt off him to put it on Cody. No way, no how. If they did, they would turn on Cody right away because they are.
Oh, that's a great point.
They are into Roman
The dude
Reigns,
just
dude.
beat Brock Lesnar twice.
Yep.
Like they didn't do all
him,
of this 2 years, whatever, year and a half title run for him to lose to
the Cody.
As somebody pointed out, the third best Rhodes.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
At the same time,
he's not
though,
as good as. Yep.
So that's a really good point. At the same time, I could see them doing it only because, this heel dynamic with Roman, I feel like it's already starting to get a little bit stale. I think like the fans are super into Roman, but I think that is going to eventually have to lead to a face turn. And what better way to turn Roman face than to put the belt on Cody and just have the fans resent Cody?
Cody thinks he's a face,
making Roman
but wants to be a face.
And I don't know that Cody wants to be a heel.
No, he's a face, dude. His whole story is you can't make him a heel. His whole story is I want to win it for my dad, and everybody loves Dusty. So there's no way you can heel turn that, dude. How do you heel turn that?
Goes through dastardly means to win it and shows that he's not his dad and he's doing it all for himself.
Now that's a great
angle.
Actually a really good storyline. I just wonder if he's got it in him.
Or Brandy comes in.
No, that's Matt's story is too good. WWE would never do it. Even that, that would be the best way to get him over is to do what your story says, Matt. That's excellent. But
you know what's funny? We're going back to where we were 6 months ago when we were convinced
exactly.
that Cody's heel turn was great.
Right. He's going to do this. He's going to do this because he knows exactly what he's doing, right? Well, fool me once.
And this whole thing where he's kissing Triple H's ass and everything.
Dude,
it's like,
exactly.
God.
But Matt's story would be great. If they did that, if Cody did that,
would work.
I'd be all about Cody because I love shit like that. I'd love shit like that.
Where he's so delusional, he's talking about it's like Roman when he was starting off as like the family and all that. If Cody is like going on about his dad, but is really just like
he's being
a shit, like that would be the best WWE story in years.
Well, and not only that, if he wins the title and then has turns heel at the same time, it automatically baby faces Roman because Roman's going to come at him for it, right? And then WWE and Vince can't help himself. They'll put Roman back over on Cody.
He's got that.
It sort of plays into this layer of WWE is greater than AEW. Like there's so many reasons they should do it, which is probably why they won't. But it's all right there.
What's interesting to me is like I think Charlie just hinted at. They have invested so long into this streak.
Oh, yeah, dude.
They got to be heading somewhere. That's why I'm sure they're happy he's not hurt. Because it's like...
Oh, he's not?
You don't have... Well, I don't think so. I don't think it's as bad as they thought.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I hadn't heard anything.
I feel like if it was really bad, they wouldn't have done that promo last night.
Nice. Well, I love where you guys are headed with the Cody predictions. And in my opinion, too... I think maybe that chair shot that Sean Spears gave him really early on in AEW might have jarred a couple screws loose in him.
Totally.
He was once a little smart, but now he's just totally just dumbed down Cody from the rest, which makes a great WWE roster member. So we've been talking a lot about Roman, and why don't we just skip to night 2 to the main event, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. They said it was going to be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. Heavily booked. Roman Reigns, is he the universe? What is he? What's his heavyweight?
Oh, it's like champion? The WWE. Well, you mean, but going into it, he was the he was the Universal Champion.
Right.
And then Brock was the WWE champion.
I think that's right.
They were going head to head to unify this championship belt. See, the thing that bothers me with Roman Reigns, it just takes forever. Like Undertaker was kind of cool because he was supposed to be dead and like a zombie going down to the ring. Like you could go make a sandwich, go to the bathroom, come back, and Roman still won't be, down to the ring. And just like this thing, that big graphic that they have of him where he's kind of crouched over, and then it looks like he steps on like a bunch of Legos and like looks up, like that computer graphic. They just invest so much production into this guy. The camera angles, the music, the lights, the graphics. It's just like, it's frustrating. Like, this is why WWE sucks, and you kind of saw it all within WrestleMania, all these graphics and stuff like that. The way people got over and got the crowd to like them was through their mouth and like their promos and their wrestling and their style. Nobody's got any style. They're just like a freaking toy.
Cookie cutter.
It's just like a little puppet. And like, how colorful can we make this person look on the surface without them even having really any talent? But that's just my opinion on all that.
I think something WWE does that, okay, you can rip on a million things WWE does, but one of the things that they've always been excellent at is their production quality. Mm-hmm. But one of the things they do that I just think is so cheap looking is when they do those like 3D graphics, like floating in the arena. They're so corny looking, and that's what
that's
with
what
Roman,
I'm talking about.
It's horrible.
Like, to do it with Asuka with the masks. Yeah, I agree with you, Mike. It just is so, like, for a company that puts so much into it, it just looks like it looks cheap.
And it's very shoehorned in too, because I think it was the women's tag title match on night 2 when I want to say it was Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan had already made their entrance to the ring. And at this point, the commentators were actually talking about, I think it was Carmella, and like completely on a different topic. But of course, they had to show Rhea Ripley's 3D graphic of these chains hanging down and Rhea Ripley's name.
Right.
It's just so frustrating when you start to actually see behind the scenes of like somebody going, put up the graphic, put it up. You know, like, we have to do this as part of our playbook.
Well, and if it's such a big part of WWE, why would you even want to go see it live? Like, if you think it's so cool, like, why would you go buy tickets? Because you don't see that in real life. You only see it if you're sitting on your ass at home watching Peacock.
And, you know, that goes back to, I don't remember if I told this on the air or to you guys separately, but weekly listener of the show, my friend Gary from Ohio, he went to Raw a month ago, and he said it was like the first time he'd ever gone to a show where the ring announcer didn't even interact with the crowd. There was zero interaction with the crowd. Finn Balor was the only guy that like actually like high-fived fans. Everybody else ignored him. And I think it's truly become a TV production, and they like the crowd's a prop, because if they don't like the cheers, they'll just pipe in what they want. Mm-hmm. So I think to your point, I think the crowd, like, obviously WrestleMania is a little different. I mean, the crowd's super into it, and it's like a huge stadium. But I just think for the weekly shows, it's all about the TV production.
Yeah, the fans are just a prop. Like, instead of having like cardboard cutouts or those TV screens in the back, they just kind of got used to the fans being just background noise and props, and they don't really care. So
I think so.
Yeah, that's made for TV.
Exactly.
Yeah, those 3D graphics kind of bug me. Like I said, that's what I was trying to get into. Like when Roman, how he's like crouched down and then like looks up, and it looks like he just like stepped on like something really sharp or something like that.
You should watch the beginning of Raw. They had like, because I taped it because I want to see what Cody had to say. They have like, they do their thing. Then they had like a robot. Like, it's like like some kind of cartoon robot, like rotate, point to some big raw cartoon graphic. It's like, it's just horrible, dude. It's just like, what the fuck is this, dude?
The kids love it if it was the 1990s.
Right.
We gotta make this shit look like the Jetsons. Damn it!
That's a total Vince reference, like the Jetsons.
Oh, totally.
Like, remember when they made Roman Reigns do like some like mighty, like what was it, like suffering succotash? They made it say.
They
actually made him say that.
Yep.
Hilarious. Okay. Anyway, so Brock Lesnar comes out now, and we have these two meet in the ring, and I mean, I can't remember if I think I was on my phone after this. Like, I wasn't even really paying close enough attention. You can just kind of hear the announcers rattling off F5, spear, Superman punch, So I wasn't really paying close attention, but what I was surprised about was how fast the match ended. It only seemed like it went on for 10 minutes.
It's about 12 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick match. It was.
I wonder if. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, it's every Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match you've ever seen. I think they included every spot in this, including through the barricade, which is now commonplace in WWE. But also, yeah, we saw F5s, German suplexes, Superman punches, spears, all that stuff. It was basically those 4 moves for 10 to 12 minutes. Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns had their little theatrics off to the side where you could hear Paul Heyman going, "I'm begging you, my tribal chief."
Yeah, it was great. That sounds funny.
Yeah, which just kind of cracked me up. But yeah, it was interesting for sure. I did not care about this match at all. And Mike, like you, I think I was on my phone the whole time. I knew something had really happened to Roman though, because when he was talking to Paul Heyman, he mentioned his shoulder being hurt. And when he went to raise both belts at the end, you could see him raise one belt, and then the other one he was really hesitant about putting up. But of course, you gotta hold up both belts because that's what Vince
for the
wants.
Camera shot. That's right. What it's all about.
And that's
your WrestleMania moment.
That's actually what happened with Finn Balor when he was the inaugural Universal Champion. He tore his shoulder at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
he went to raise the belt and couldn't do it, but he did it anyway and messed up his shoulder even more. So, I was a little concerned when I saw Roman doing that, but. You know, Steve, you kind of mentioned earlier, like, is he really hurt? It seems like he might not be. I wouldn't put it past WWE in this one case if he's really hurt, but they're going to do it anyway because
they're not taking that belt.
I actually in this case don't blame. Like unless he's out like a year.
Yeah,
I think if he's out like 4 months, I still like for as much as they put into this streak. Mm-hmm. If I were them, I'd like just have him like. You know, he's a heel. Have him just avoid matches for like 4 months and just talk.
Oh yeah.
Talk
just like the old times. It's like he never wrestles on TV anyway.
Right.
So
yeah, there you go.
You know,
you just have the Usos do his bidding like for like weeks.
Oh yeah, just keep them. You know, just have them be kind. Go, I'm not wrestling this next pay-per-view. You know, so I'm taking it off.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Perfect.
There's whatever grand plan they have, like for the 700-day reign, they're not going to piss that away.
No, he'd have to have chemo or
like something like that
or whatever.
Yeah,
leukemia again.
Yeah, like a relapse. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was to headline night 2. Thought it was kind of a weak finish in my opinion since it went so short and all the buildup, but you kind of knew that's what it was going to be like. I mean, we saw last year that night 1 was kind of exciting and then night 2 was kind of a dud. I don't know. I thought night 2 was kind of just more like fun-ish, and we kind of saw that definitely with Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville. I said in the group thread it was kind of like watching a wrestling match tributed to Home Alone, like at the climax of Home Alone when the robbers are going through the house and just going through all these booby traps. So Johnny Knoxville brought all his boys from Jackass, which you thought was going to happen. And it was so funny. I was watching it with Kristen, and she wasn't really familiar with Jackass. And when Chris Pontius took off his clothes and did Party Boy when he's in his thong, and she's like, oh, my God, like, what is going on? Like, I can't. Like, why would they do that? I always thought that shit was really funny. I watched Jackass with my friends back in the day. I think we were in middle school when it was coming on, so we were young and immature. Loved it. But I don't know. I mean, this match was really cheesy, but it was fun.
Yeah.
What can I say? I mean, yeah, it's not like the ground and pound that you're used to, but it was entertaining. It was kind of like the board game Mousetrap, Home Alone, all rolled into one, and we saw it end with a mousetrap, oddly enough. So,
literally.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, there were a couple spots in this match that made me laugh out loud. Mike, kind of like you and Kristen, I was watching it with Becky, and she didn't watch Jackass, I think, like when it was on TV, but she's familiar with it, at least enough so where, like, you know, she found it super entertaining, and so did I. I think it's definitely our age group who grew up with it. It's just, I don't know, it's more about the nostalgia, I think, and that's pretty true for WWE in general. But I think the craziest moment in this match that genuinely put me over the top as far as laughing out loud was when Johnny Knoxville busts out the taser, and he isn't even tasing Sami Zayn. He's just kind of holding it and making it, turning it on.
Sound.
Oh my God. I'm thinking to myself, like, they would do this. Like, of course they would. It's the Jackass guys. These guys have no boundaries when it comes to ways of hurting people or themselves. The Party Boy thing totally got me too. Like when he came out, I knew immediately it was Chris Pontius. And when I saw the little bow tie, I was just thinking, oh God, he's going to rip his clothes off. And sure enough, he does it. The one part of this match that actually got me where I was all in on it was when Wee Man gets booted in the face by Sami Zayn and the crowd turns on Sami Zayn in a heartbeat. Like that immediately I was like, okay, it's very clear now who we want to win and who we don't want to win. And the rest of the match played into it perfectly. The human mousetrap in the finish, I wish would have gone off a little bit more smoothly because you could tell right away it was like some PVC and was not holding Sami Zayn down at all. Like he was totally.
Well, you got to remember, Matt, Owen Hart was dropped from the rafters to his death. So, I mean, they're not really good at engineering in the WWE.
Yeah,
I don't think they've really learned much or invested in trying to get shit done properly, mechanically.
That's fair. I'll buy that. I
didn't think of
appreciate
that. Yeah.
Zayn selling at the end. Clearly, that thing was not holding him down, but he made it look like it was. So
He's a pro.
Yeah.
hats
That's
off
part
to
of
El
the fun.
Generico.
Definitely.
He's a damn pro.
The bowling ball to the groin, that looked like it hurt. And then the boot to the groin, a lot of groin shots. That's kind of their thing. God, I mean, just the amount of time those guys have gotten hit in the balls have just.
Oh, it's awful.
I'd love to find out what the payout for those guys are. The celebrities are. I'd love to find out what the payout they get up for those.
I bet it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, man. Well, I guess they're fucking all the money they're making, a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, the other spot in that match I forgot about was the table covered in mouse traps. I immediately thought of that lights out match between Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley where they did that. I think it was like a piece of plywood covered in mouse traps. And I don't know if you noticed, but the traps actually weren't even set. So they didn't even go off.
No.
They went through the table eventually. That table spot, though, in general looked pretty brutal. I mean, there was a lot of nut shots in this match, but that table spot, for whatever reason, was, I think, the one that made me cringe the most.
Yeah. And that wasn't the only thing cringeworthy on night 2 of WrestleMania. The stunner that was applied to Vince McMahon.
Oh, God.
Was pretty cringeworthy. But leading up to that was Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee. The thing was built up like Pat, left the NFL early to pursue his dream as a wrestler. We know him as a commentator. We've seen him do a great match in NXT a long time ago. He did great. I thought he looked great in this match, too. He does like this box jump, basically with his feet on the mat, all the way up to the top rope to put a guy in a superplex or whatever move he does from there. It's pretty impressive stuff, and he held his own. And he ends up beating Austin Theory, did he not?
Yeah, McAfee beat Theory.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm having a hard time remembering all the results of all these matches. There's just so much wrestling this weekend. But Vince McMahon comes out and, comforts Austin Theory after the match. And he's like, oh, you want me to get him? You want me to get him? And he kind of like fakes taking off his blazer a little bit. And then sure enough, he starts taking off his clothes, which is really uncomfortable seeing a man his age taking off his clothes. It was pretty sick. But then he gets in the ring and he starts kind of wrestling around. He ends up punting a football into Pat McAfee, which stuns him.
That would totally take a person out.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Especially coming from Vince McMahon's
a 76-year-old man. Yeah,
yeah, the force of the way he kicked that ball. He's lucky.
Plus
he'll be lucky.
He looked like he was wearing Frankenstein boots when he was in there as well. But this was when I thought
just
maybe
moving around.
Yeah, we were
That's
texting.
just a 76-year-old man moving around.
We were texting each other during this match. I'm like, oh man, this is bad. And I thought like, oh, this is when Shane could come out and that would be pretty good to drop the music there. get a big pop, but a bigger
It's
pop.
Austin.
Stone Cold comes out. They hear the broken glass 2 times, 2 nights in a row in Texas. And more beer was drank. Justice was served. It was pretty fun to see Stone Cold get back in there again. He starts drinking beer with Braxton. He's drinking beer with everybody. It's great. Yeah, he ends up stunning Braxton on first night, but then he ends up stunning McAfee after he lures him in on the second night. McAfee did a great job selling that. He
that was a good one.
Bubbling out of his mouth like a fountain. But Austin Theory's sell on his stunner was probably the best.
One of the gotta be top 5 of all time.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He got airborne
Totally.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
That's maybe a little shout out. That might be a shout out to the one of the best ones. Remember when Scott Hall took one at WrestleMania? He just went way the hell in the air.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of that for sure. And hey, I mean, if Vince is putting all this effort into building Austin Theory, sell a stunner at WrestleMania. That's how you're going to get yourself over. So good for him on that. But Vince McMahon has never sold a stunner in his entire life.
Not well.
Times that we saw it during the Attitude Era. Yeah, not well at all. And we didn't think, or at least I didn't think this would be any different, but I didn't think it would be this bad. I don't know if the timing was just off or what the hell happened, but it looked like Vince just kind of crumpled like a paper cup against the ropes and just totally missed it. Stone Cold had to basically pick him back up to kind of do the stunner after the kick. So, but, in a perfect world, maybe we would see a good Vince Austin stunner. But
Austin was laughing pretty hard. I mean, that's pretty fun. That part was funny. I think, what do you do at that point?
Yeah, Austin totally redeemed it just through his laughter. I love that we saw one of the best stunner sells of all time, followed by the absolute worst, hands down stunner sell of all time in the same segment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is good. Maybe the old man was trying to put over all the other guys in the ring to make their stunners look good.
I doubt that's what happened. Right? But
he's 76, dude.
I know. Charlie, you're not picking up any sarcasm tonight.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I'm in my 50s and I can barely walk, so I know that somebody when it has to be like at 76.
I will say, for as it's like Joan Rivers like surgeryed up that Vince looks these days with his face. Obviously, dude's still ripped.
Oh yeah, he looks great in a suit.
Yes.
When he took that suit off, he looked his age. He still looked. He's in shape. Don't get me wrong.
He's in shape for a 76-year-old man, but the age doesn't. Age always wins.
That skin was looking old, bro. There was some oldness to that skin and elasticity, dude.
It was like a jacked up 26-year-old wearing like a loose bodysuit.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Or if you've ever seen a barrel-chested flying squirrel, I think that would be Vince McMahon facially and all the loose skin.
Yeah, his face is like
horrible,
really
dude.
Him and his buddy Jerry Jones.
It's very yeah. He does look like Jerry a little bit. Very rodent-esque.
We've quickly become the TMZ of wrestling podcasts right now.
Hey, tell your friends. Keep the kayfabe. We tell it like it is on here.
Sorry, Vince, if you you listen, but we call it like we see it.
If you look back, if you look back at some old pictures of him, even from like in the Austin age to where he's at now, it's like, what did you do to your face, dude? Should have just left it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Don't try to beat time. You're never going to win. He's a
control
freak.
Nope.
Time's undefeated.
Yep,
he's a control freak, so it would be one thing that he would try to beat. But something that you can't beat is this week's promo of the week, and we're going to get to that in just a second here because we are running out of time. But all in all, WrestleMania, I'm glad it happened. Nobody got killed. It was decent enough. I'll just put it that way. It was decent enough to be good. So, you guys have any good final thoughts before we get to promo of the week?
The only thing I'll add is I was traveling this weekend visiting Becky's sister and her family, and thankfully they were open to putting on WrestleMania, and turns out a lot more people like pro wrestling than they know. So if your friends are questioning the fact that you love pro wrestling, just put on Wrestlemania for 5 minutes and then watch it for the next 3 hours when everybody suddenly is obsessed.
Better yet, try to convince them to watch AEW.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, dude.
It's probably a better movie.
I'm not convincing them to watch that. Unless they're like, I mean, yeah. I mean, WrestleMania's not made for me. So I'm not in the age demographic they want. It's not my style of wrestling, even with the entertainment shit, especially entertainment shit. Like I liked Sasha and Becky match. That was good. Cody's match was pretty good. It's just, I just can't get into their product, man.
You have to dilute yourself. Like, you see those same people that sit ringside in the back, and they are just like the guy who wears that green shirt. There's that other guy that, I don't know, you can describe him. You know who I'm talking about, but like, they spend so much money on this. It's just like,
oh yeah,
there's no reason to do that anymore. There's nothing special about it, but to those people, it means everything. So, you know what? If that's what makes you happy and floats your boat, and that's what you want to spend your money on and mark out to, I hope you had fun.
Whatever makes you happy in life.
Yep, God bless you. It's your money. But Jesus, I wouldn't waste it on that.
Neither would we. But we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. Like we said, Rampage and AEW Dynamite is going to be really great this week. I can't wait to see what happens with Ring of Honor. But before we close the show, we need to get to promo of the week. And we've gotten a bunch of them lately. Getting to the mailbag right now, but we'll go to this one that I just got today since it's on top. This one's a Shawn Michaels promo. It's from February 14th, 1993. This one comes from Sean Mars from Oak Creek, Wisconsin, right here in southeastern Wisconsin. That's great. What up, Sean? He says, the Heartbreak Kid is a legend, period. Keep up the good work, Kayfabe. All right. Thanks so much for your submission, Sean. Spelled differently than Shawn Michaels, too. So, good stuff right there. All right. Before we go any further, let's just hear what the old Heartbreak Kid has to say.
Well. So the big boss man thinks that Shawn Michaels is living in a fantasy world. Well, Jack, don't make me flash these baby blues or flash these pearly whites and prove to everybody that you know that I am the hottest thing in the World Wrestling Federation. You want a deal with some reality, boss man? I'll give you some cold, hard facts. Shawn Michaels is the best wrestler in the World Wrestling Federation. And you want to know what, big boss man? This proves it. You got one of these, big boss man? No, what you got is some 40-inch belt holding those pants up. Well, I got news for you. No handcuffs, no billy clubs will touch this kid. I'm gonna give you the wrestling lesson of a lifetime. And Jack, maybe you'll serve some hard time.
He's a sexy boy full of confidence. 1993 was a really fun era for Shawn Michaels when he was just coming up. I think that's before he even got into things with Diesel. He was a budding star, and yeah, he's my all-time favorite wrestler. So this is right around the time I got hooked.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. I remember watching him as a member of the Rockers with Marty Jannetty way back in the day. And I think I started to get out of pro wrestling once Shawn Michaels broke away from the Rockers. Or at least I disowned him after he kicked Marty through that plate glass window. That was probably one of the most memorable moments of pro wrestling for me as a kid. So I definitely have memories of him. This era when he broke away, he definitely started to feel like a big star. And it's crazy too, because as the 90s went on, he felt like an even bigger star, but in a completely different way. And then we saw DX and he came back, born again and with like this back issue fixed. Just an incredible career, but this was really an interesting time in his career.
Definitely. A young stud. Yeah. Well, I think that'll put a nice little bow on our WrestleMania wrap-up and Ring of Honor's Supercard show. And can't wait to see what happens more with Cody coming up. But if he's got one thing to keep in mind, It's to stay humble, stay hungry, and stay hard if he wants to get anywhere in the WWE. Keep it one thing, and that is
Triple H.
Oh, Triple H.
Walk hard.
I don't think Cody Rhodes knows the word humble.
Rocky
No.
road. Walk bold. Hard. That's my creed. My code. I've been scorned and slandered and ridiculed too. Had to struggle every day my whole life through. Seen my share of the worst that this world can give. But I still got a dream and a burning rage to live. Walk hard, hard. When they say you're all done, walk bold.